morning, I'm Maiki Oreta and you're watching Business 360, where we break down the numbers, connect the dots, and give you the developments and the insights you need to navigate, adapt, and lead. Let's dive right in. The headlines. A major funding boost for the Philippines. The World Bank lines up a $2.75 billion lending program for 2026. Lots of potential political showdown. The Supreme Court may decide today whether the Senate must begin the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. In Washington, thousands take to the streets, pushing back against President Donald Trump's federal overhaul. And a terrifying scene in Toronto. A Delta Airlines plane flips on landing, leaving dozens injured. These stories and more coming up. The World Bank outlines a $2.75 billion lending program for the Philippines in 2026, a slight reduction from this year's funding. The global lender confirms the amount is nearly 4% lower than the $2.86 billion allocated for 2025. It's also finalizing a new country partnership framework for 2025 through to 2028, focused on economic growth and development. Meanwhile, the multilateral institution is set to approve several key projects, including a $4 million road development project for the Moro Islamic Liberation Front's camp communities on February 28th, a $454.9 million Mindanao Transport Connectivity Project, a $495.6 million health system resilience project on March 5th. With a strong emphasis on infrastructure and health, these investments will help drive economic resilience and long-term growth. On another front, onion prices may drop soon as more supply arrives by the end of February. Agriculture spokesperson Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa says this is due to increased imports of red and white onions. As of February 14th, onion prices range from 100 to 230 pesos per kilo, depending on the variety. Of the 4,000 metric tons approved for importation, only 3,000 metric tons will arrive this month, still short of the 7,000 metric ton supply gap. Now, what does this mean for business? Well, lower prices help consumers and restaurants cut costs, but too many imports could pressure local farmers and suppliers. The bigger question is, how can the government balance price stability while protecting local agriculture? Still on the Agriculture Department, they're looking to offer cheaper pork and chicken as alternatives amid rising meat prices. Agriculture spokesperson Assistant Secretary Arnel de Mesa again says that the government may set a suggested retail price for pork next month to help stabilize costs. For businesses, higher meat prices mean increased costs for restaurants, retailers, and food manufacturers. If consumers spend less on meat, it could impact demand across the supply chain. The challenge is in finding a sustainable solution that protects both consumers and producers. Now, investment registration rises in 2024, showing stronger business confidence. Latest data shows a 1.95 trillion peso increase, which is 30% higher than 2023 figures. This follows the approval of interim rules for the Create More Act last November. Special Assistant to the President, Frederick Go, says that the law is a key government priority to boost local industries, particularly automotive and public transportation. For businesses, this means a more attractive investment climate and possible incentives. The bigger question now is, will this translate to more jobs and sustainable economic growth? Cash remittances from overseas Filipino workers reach a record high of over $34 billion in 2024. Data from the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas shows that this is a 3% increase from the $33.49 billion recorded in 2023. In December alone, cash remittances rise by 3% to $3.38 billion, the highest monthly total on record. The BSP says strong inflows from the United States, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and the UAE are driving that increase. For business, record remittances means stronger household spending and economic activity. We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most, your bottom line. Welcome back. Trading at the Philippine Stock Exchange opened earlier. Let's take a look at the initial figures. As of 10:08 this morning, the PSE index is in the green, back at the 6,000 level after dropping 1% yesterday and falling below it. The main gauge is higher by 0.9%, specifically to 60.45. Broader all shares index up as well, higher by 0.6% to 36.32, higher by again 0.6%. Taking a look at the sub-indices, we are seeing a broad-based rally. Everything is in the green except for the mining and oil counter, which is down by 0.7%. So again, good to note the PSE index is back at the 6,000 level following yesterday's selling pressure. I guess the PE ratios were a little too good to resist. Investors are positioning for better times ahead and rate cuts by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Everyone's expecting a rate cut of 50 basis points for the balance of the year. So people are positioning for that. Meanwhile, at the foreign exchange market, the peso opens weaker at 58.08 against the greenback from its previous close of 58.03. Today, the Supreme Court is slated to review a petition urging the Senate to begin the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte, a move that could have far-reaching political implications. Meanwhile, House prosecutors prepare for a possible trial as questions arise over the timing and the impact of this impeachment process. Eugene Edalia has the details.
A member of the House panel of prosecutors for the trial of Vice President Sara Duterte supports the petition to compel the Senate to convene into an impeachment court immediately. But one rider, party list Representative Rog Gutierrez, says this is his personal stand and the House respects the authority of the Senate over the trial.
Ako po, naniniwala po dun sa panig ng ibang mga luminaries na yung forthwith provision ng Constitution would mean agad. And I think that's what the Mandamus petition is talking about. And so I would tend to agree with that petition.
On Friday, lawyer Catalino Generillo, a former member of the Presidential Commission on Good Government, filed a petition for Mandamus asking the Supreme Court to compel the Senate to convene into an impeachment court to try the Vice President. The charges include betrayal of public trust, graft, bribery, culpable violation of the Constitution, and other high crimes. Legal luminaries, including former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justices Antonio Carpio and Adolf Ascuna, one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution, believe that the impeachment court should be formed immediately or that Senate President Chis Escudero take his oath as presiding judge. Gutierrez says prosecutors are now conducting preparations despite the absence of rules from the Senate.
Kapag gumalaw na po yung Senado, at least preliminarily, at least regarding to the rules, kapag meron na po tayong mas idea kung which processes would be adopted from yung rules of court, which processes would be dealt without, I think that would be easier for us in the part of preparation.
Senate President Escudero had said the trial may begin after the President's State of the Nation address in July, but that preparations may begin before that. Eugene Adalia, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Italian sports car brand Ferrari, imported by Velocita Motors, backed by Bilyonaryo Ramon Ang, expects sales to rise amid the government's crackdown on smuggled luxury cars. Our mobility correspondent G. Baroga has the details.
And let me tell you, the sound of those V12s gave me chills.
That's what Jacob Ang, Chief Planning Officer and Director of Velocita Motors, owned by ultra-billionaryo Ramon Ang, says about the Ferrari Dodici Cilindri when he first saw and heard it. This model is now in the Philippines after its world premiere in Miami last year, which Jacob witnessed firsthand. This early, Velocita Motors has already secured a few orders for the car, with production soon to begin.
There will be a few cars that will come in this year, and then succeeding orders. If any orders come in this year, it takes about around 16 to 24 months. It depends on which model they're going to take and depending on the configuration that the customers will be putting on the car.
2024 was a great year for the company, from opening their permanent facility to organizing test drive events and delivering customer orders. And they're even more optimistic for this year.
So we see steady growth in our demand as we are strategically well positioned for the growth of the Philippines' top 0.1%.
Amid reports of raided illegal luxury cars, including Ferraris, Velocita Motors is urging the public to buy directly from them as the official importer. This will ensure that all processes are well taken care of. For BNC Mobility, G. Baroga.
We're taking a quick break. Please stay with us as we dive deep into the numbers and the narratives that matter most to the bottom line. Welcome back. Thousands gather in Washington to protest massive government reforms under President Donald Trump's second term. Trump taps tech billionaire Elon Musk to lead a cost-cutting drive, resulting in sweeping job cuts across federal agencies. Critics argue that Musk's Department of Government Efficiency holds too much power, pushing Congress to limit executive control. For global businesses, this sparks uncertainty. How will Trump's regulatory shifts affect trade, taxes, and market stability? With a pro-business but unpredictable approach, the world watches how the U.S. economic policy will evolve.
That he was not elected to anything. He should not have this much power. The fact that he's been given a blank check is terrifying. And I really wish that Congress would actually do their job, as people are chanting, and do something about the fact that this is an unelected citizen who has all this power of the government. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no experience working in government.
Chinese President Xi Jinping holds a rare meeting with top tech executives, including Alibaba founder Jack Ma, in what many see as a move to rebuild private sector confidence. This marks a shift from Beijing's regulatory crackdown on tech giants in the recent years, a signal that China needs its tech sector to drive economic growth. The meeting comes as the U.S. threatens new tariffs, further straining China's economy. For businesses, this raises key questions. Is China truly easing control over tech? Or will this lead to a more business-friendly environment? Or is it just a temporary move amid economic pressure? At stake is China's push for tech self-sufficiency, particularly in semiconductors and in AI. But Washington's export restrictions remain a major roadblock. A Delta Airlines plane flips while landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport, leaving over a dozen injured. Emergency responders report one person in critical condition, while others suffer mild to moderate injuries. The airport confirms that all passengers and crew are accounted for. Canada's transport minister launches an investigation, while Delta Airlines works to gather more details. Strong winds battered Toronto all day Monday, possibly contributing to that incident. For business, this raises safety and operational concerns for airlines, insurers, and regulators. Potential flight disruptions, liability issues, and stronger safety protocols could impact the aviation sector. Elsewhere in the world, South Korea suspends Chinese AI app DeepSeek, citing data privacy concerns. Seoul reports that the controversial startup admits it cannot fully comply with local privacy laws. For now, DeepSeek remains inaccessible in local app stores until it makes the necessary changes. Taiwan and Australia had earlier banned the app over security risks. This highlights the challenges tech companies face as data privacy laws tighten worldwide. But it also shows the growing demand for stronger, safer AI technology, a reminder that innovation and security must go hand in hand. Now, a province in northern Luzon supports a plan to include the shear line in Pag-asa's warning system. Paulo Barcelon has the details.
Metro Manila and other parts of the country will experience rains today because of easterlies. A shear line bringing rain clouds is expected to cause heavy downpour in Isabela and Aurora, as Pag-asa also forecasts possible floods in the two provinces.
There is a cause for alarm. I-disseminate namin yung information sa aming multi-layered information dissemination systems. Meron sa Viber, meron sa text, meron sa social media, radyo, at marami pang iba.
Isabela disaster officials are closely monitoring water levels in the Magat Dam, which as of 7 p.m. Monday night were still 3 meters from spilling level. The Provincial Disaster Office is in favor of proposals to include the shear line in the list of weather alerts.
Sabihin nila kung rain signal signal letter A to E, ma-visualize ng mga tao kung gaano kalakas yung na-expect nila dun sa kanilang lugar. And that will help in their preparation.
Civil defense officials earlier said that the proposed shear line warning system is being studied also by state science agencies, as they believe it will help the public prepare and brace for the heavy rains brought about by this weather system. Meanwhile, the northeast monsoon is expected to bring rains to Batanes, Cagayan, and Apayao. Paulo Barcelon, Bilyonaryo News Channel.
And that's it for Business 360. I'm Maiki Oreta. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel, always.